Thank you for joining. She's dropping the T-shirt, the front door tarot, okay? I hope I can get this whole video up that y'all need to hear, because I promise you to God, I literally gave y'all this prophecy. I literally gave y'all this whole, like they say, psychiana. This whole psychiana right before Father God even post this. It's about the whole room. How a whole room was, once they was laughing, but they was laughing behind your back. But now they not laughing no more because the shit been flipped on them. So whatever room that they thought you was funny in, whatever room that they thought I was funny in, somebody that was top heavy, yeah, stood up in honor of you and basically shut the motherfucking room down, because they let it be known to whoever was trying to make you a joke. They told them, you need to just shut up. You the whole motherfucking problem here. So basically they got embarrassed in a whole room of motherfuckers that they was trying to get to laugh at you. The joke ended up being on their ass. Okay? And I literally said this shit. I think it was the collective read that I recently just did. It was the reading with the outside the box, where I told y'all that people that was all affiliated with a group, and you know, like a triangle and all that. And I also told y'all how somebody was analyzing and breaking it down to see who the fuck was the problem. Who was the problem? Who was more the problem? Who was less the problem? More, like all of that. This was the person that was breaking that shit down and came to the conclusion who the fuck the problem was in the room, and basically shut the shit down. Okay? So here's a whole little video of Father God exposing this little clown, this chump, this fucking coward that couldn't even stand up to the motherfucker that told him to shut the fuck up. But yet they in the room talking shit about you, about me, okay? And they basically got shitted on. Now they looking, they embarrassed. What, they embarrassed? They looking stupid, okay? They looking smaller than the motherfucker they was trying to laugh at, okay? So let's get into this right here, and I'm going to let y'all hear this.
The same mouths that mocked you in private are now choking on their own silence because someone with power finally said your name with respect. Now, imagine this for a moment. Chosen one. You've been buried under lies, locked out of rooms, your name passed around like a rumor, but you stayed quiet. Not because you were weak, but because you were calculating. And the universe, it was listening, watching, waiting, until last night when everything flipped. The same stage they built to humiliate you is now the stage where the truth is performing live. And trust me, the tickets are sold out. Here's the truth. They didn't fear you because they thought you were powerless. But now they're panicking, not because of anything you said, but because someone they never expected just stood up for you, loudly, publicly, without blinking. Facts don't need backup dancers. The truth walks in alone and still steals the show. And right now, that truth is wearing your name like armor. And thank you, Chosen One. Don't forget to pay this message back by simply pressing the like and subscribe buttons to help spread this message to more souls. It's the responsibility of all of us to spread the light. Your support fuels this mission. You're not just a listener, you're a force. Thank you for being part of this. Let's get back to it. Chosen One, you've been the quiet storm, the one they laughed at, underestimated, overlooked. They threw shade thinking it would bury you, but little did they know you were a seed. And seeds don't die, they root, they grow. They rise. You were once the easy target, the one who didn't clap back, the one they thought no one would defend, and that's why they came for you so boldly, because they assumed no one was paying attention. But oh, how wrong they were. While you were sitting in silence, the universe was building your case like a storm gathers wind, slow at first, then all at once. They had their fun while you kept your head down. They slandered you, painted you out to be the villain, and laughed while doing it. But they forgot one thing. Karma doesn't knock. It kicks the door in when the time is right. And last night, the door flew off the hinges. Because someone they trust, someone with status, someone they never expected, just stood up and said, enough. And when the right voice speaks, it doesn't echo, it shakes the whole room. Now they're scrambling, trying to rewrite stories, clean up messes, pretend they were never involved. But the receipts are rolling in, and baby, they're time-stamped. This isn't some anonymous social media defense. This is someone with real credibility, with access, with influence. They're defending your name not out of sympathy, but because the truth is undeniable. What was whispered in shadows is now being screamed under spotlights. You're no longer the accused. You're the evidence. And this shift didn't just happen. It was made. They thought you would stay buried under their version of the story, but plot twist, you were the story. You always were. The narrative has flipped so hard, it's giving them whiplash. The same people who helped push you down are now ducking for cover, wondering how you're suddenly the one rising. They can't control the conversation anymore, not when someone with influence is out here correcting lies in real time, not when your name is being honored in places you were once banned from, not when your silence has become a roar they can't ignore. That's what happens when the universe moves. Nothing stands in its way. You see, betrayal doesn't always come from the loud ones. Sometimes the worst damage comes from those who stayed quiet while you were being torn apart. But here's the twist. They're not quiet anymore. One of them switched sides. And now, their silence is gone, replaced with truth. Bold, unapologetic truth. And that's what has them shaking. Because when someone respected starts defending the person everyone agreed to hate, it disrupts the whole system. Suddenly, their lies don't hold up. Their fake concern sounds hollow. Their guiltless smirks have turned into blank stares. And
yeah, 'cause they've been
that's the
exposed.
power
Their
of
mask
one
came
bold
off.
voice, choosing truth over comfort. So yes, chosen one, you were underestimated, misjudged, ignored. But only by those who never had the eyes to see who you were. The universe did. It always did. And now it's showing up in a way even your enemies can't deny. The narrative didn't just flip, it crashed. The tables didn't just turn, they spun. The ones who tried to silence you are now praying someone silences the person defending you. But it's too late. And guess what? We're just getting started. So now, chosen one, are you ready to break this down piece by piece? Because what just happened in your life isn't random. It's a total shift, a cosmic flip, and every detail matters. Drop a 777 in the comments if you feel the universe stepping in loud and clear. And if this message is hitting your spirit, consider fueling the fire with a super thanks, because these truths don't come easy, and your support helps keep this light shining. Whether it's a cent or a blessing, it pushes the mission forward. You're not just watching, you're part of the shift. And now, let's get into this step by step. If you truly are who I think you are, the real chosen one, you're going to feel it in your chest and deep in your gut. Trust me, this isn't the moment to scroll away. This is the moment to stay. Because by the time we reach the end, you're not going to see yourself or your enemies the same way again. Let's get started. Number one, they thought you were easy to break. Now they're breaking themselves, trying to cover the mess. They didn't fear you when they thought you were powerless. Now they're choking on panic because someone stronger just said your name with respect. They laughed, didn't they? Loud, confident, bold, like your silence was comedy, like your pain was entertainment. They sat in rooms you were locked out of and made you the punchline. No remorse, no shame, just arrogance dressed up as dominance. They believed you had no one, that you were outnumbered, outvoiced, and out of options. But here's the thing about people who mistake quiet for weakness. They always get loud when consequences start breathing down their necks. They didn't just underestimate you, they bet against you. They counted on your isolation. They built their cruelty on the assumption that no one would ever stand beside you. In their eyes, you were small, defenseless, just a name to toss around when the room got bored. They thought dragging you down made them look powerful. They thought laughing at you made them untouchable. But overnight, the ground shook, and not beneath your feet, beneath theirs. Now someone with status, reach, and authority is speaking your truth without flinching, and that same crowd who once mocked your name can't even say yours out loud without choking on the fear behind their teeth. They're not panicking because they care, they're panicking because they got caught. The storm you were supposed to drown in has turned, and now it's flooding their lies, their fake stories, their carefully rehearsed performances.
Got pet odors? Get Febreze fabric spray to keep your fabric smelling fresh and clean. This is a hot flash. This is a hot flash. But this is a not flash. Veoza, the #1 prescribed hormone-free treatment approved for moderate to severe vasomotor symptoms due to menopause. With hormone-free Veoza, you can have fewer hot flashes and more not flashes. Veoza reduces the number and severity of hot flashes day and night. Veoza can cause serious side effects, including liver problems. Your doctor will do blood tests before and during treatment. Stop Veoza and call your doctor if you have symptoms of liver problems, such as feeling more tired than usual, decreased appetite, nausea, vomiting, itching, yellowing of the eyes or skin, pale stool, dark urine, or stomach pain. Don't use Veoza if you have cirrhosis, severe kidney problems, kidney failure, or take CYP1A2 inhibitors. Ask your doctor about hormone-free Veoza. You can save on Veoza. Visit saveonveoza.com to learn more.
You're not even moving, and yet everything around them is falling apart. Why? Because someone stepped in with power, and they're not here to whisper, they're here to clean house. Let's make something clear, Chosen One. What flipped overnight wasn't just the story, it was the balance of power. You didn't become louder, you became undeniable, and it's driving them mad. They're scrambling to plug holes in their lies, rewriting old stories, calling in favors to save their fake images. But the spotlight doesn't care about makeup. It shows the cracks, it shows the guilt, and it's showing everything they tried to bury. Now they're holding emergency meetings, calling up people they haven't spoken to in years, trying to stitch together a new lie fast enough to survive the truth. But it's too late. The receipts are printed, the evidence is surfacing, and the narrative they built so confidently is burning right in front of them. And what are you doing? Sitting still, watching, breathing. You're not lifting a single finger because the universe decided it was time to flip the scene. It's not just defense, it's exposure, it's justice in motion, real-time correction, raw, unfiltered accountability. This isn't about revenge, it's about truth getting tired of waiting. Let's break it down further. Why were they so confident? Because nobody held them to a standard. They were used to moving in shadows, feeding off groupthink, hiding behind smiles and clout. And you were the quiet one, the one they thought was easy to erase. You didn't shout back, you didn't fight dirty, you didn't stoop to their level. So, in their heads, you were weak. But the truth is, you were protected, you were patient, and the universe was aligning a moment that couldn't be ignored. They called you powerless, but your silence turned into a mirror they couldn't look into. And now that someone with status is holding up that mirror for the world to see, they're shrinking under the weight of their own actions. Because here's what cowards fear more than anything: public accountability. They can lie in private. They can perform behind closed doors. But when truth steps into the light with a witness, they crumble. That's what's happening now. And here's the wildest part. They still don't regret what they did. They regret getting caught. There's a difference. They're not sorry they laughed while you suffered. They're sorry someone important finally said it wasn't okay. That's why their tone changed. That's why their body language has gone stiff. That's why they're fumbling through new stories. Not because they grew a conscience, but because the heat got turned up and now their seats are burning. You can feel it, can't you? The shift in energy, the way people look at you differently, not out of pity, but out of respect. They're starting to realize the one they dismissed, doubted, and downplayed was the one the universe never stopped backing. And now that backing has a voice, a name, a platform, and it's louder than any of their lies ever were, you don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to retaliate. The spotlight is already on the truth. The universe is already speaking on your behalf. And what's hitting harder than anything is that someone else, someone with power, chose to step in. Not for credit, not for drama, but for justice, for truth, for you. And guess what? They're not holding back. The person defending you came with a shovel and a spotlight. They're digging up what your enemies swore would stay hidden. And this time, you're not the one being questioned. They are. Their fake confidence, shattered. Their power games, exposed. Their web of lies, tangled around their own necks now. And all you had to do was survive long enough for the universe to press play on this part of your story. Now they're spiraling, watching the walls close in. The same mouths that slandered you are dry with fear. The same eyes that rolled when you spoke your truth are wide with panic. They thought they were safe because you were silent. But your silence was never surrender. It was strategy. They didn't just bet against you, they bet against the force behind you, and now that force is walking through the door in human form, confident, fearless, and speaking your name with fire. So let them panic, let them run in circles trying to erase the trail they left. The universe already followed it, and now the trail leads straight to them. Chosen one, you don't owe them closure. You don't owe them a warning. You don't even owe them attention. Just sit back and let the truth do what it always does. Set the whole room on fire and leave your name untouched. This isn't the moment to explain. This is the moment to rise. Because everything they built on your back is now collapsing under their own weight. And you're still standing. Number 2, you never needed a parade. You just needed one voice, loud enough to break the silence. They ignored your truth when it came from your mouth, but now that it's echoing from a powerful one, suddenly everyone wants to listen. Let's get something straight, chosen one. You were never lacking in truth. What you lacked was a megaphone. You had clarity, you had facts, you had the experience written in your scars. But the crowd didn't care. Not because you were wrong, but because it was safer to pretend they didn't hear you. And yet, all it took was one voice. One person with enough weight, enough visibility, enough status to say, "Stop, this ends now." And just like that, the entire room changed. The same people who once smiled while your name was being dragged are now biting their lips, wondering if they'll be next. You didn't need a stadium. You didn't need thousands reposting your pain or flooding timelines with hashtags. You just needed one clear voice that couldn't be silenced. And now that you have it, everything they built on lies is crumbling like a sandcastle in high tide. A single match can set a whole forest of falsehoods on fire, especially when the trees were already dead inside. Imagine this. You're standing in the middle of a crowd, screaming your truth, but no one turns around. People glance, some nod in sympathy, but no one stands beside you. And then suddenly, one person, someone they respect, someone with presence, steps out of that same crowd, stands next to you and says, "They're telling the truth." Watch how the silence gets louder. Watch how the cowards start shifting. That's the power of the moment you're in right now. They thought ignoring you would erase you. They thought if enough people turned away, your voice would collapse under the weight of their indifference. But silence isn't neutral. It's complicity wearing a mask. And now that mask is being ripped off. Here's what makes this even better. You never begged for it. You never sold out for validation. You walked your path alone, knowing the truth might be lonely for a while, but never wrong. That's what separated you from the noise. That's what built your strength. The truth doesn't need backup dancers. It just needs a stage. And now, chosen one, you've got one. They watched what was happening to you and said nothing. Not because they didn't know, but because speaking up would have cost them something. Comfort, status, connections. And yet, now that the cost has shifted, so has their courage.
Not the connections.
Funny how that works, isn't it? Some agreed with you in private, behind closed doors. They said all the right things when no one was looking. But when the lights came on, they vanished. Cowards love the shadows. But now, someone with nothing to fear stepped forward, and suddenly those shadows are gone. One fearless voice will always shake a room full of polite pretenders. Let's answer the question probably lingering in your heart. Why now? Why did it take so long? Why didn't they see what was obvious from the beginning? Because truth doesn't rush. It waits for the moment where exposure hits hardest. It doesn't want a quiet correction. It wants a full-on collision. And now that someone with influence has spoken, every whispered lie is turning into a public liability. The people who used to whisper about you behind your back are now scrambling to pretend they never said a word. The same mouths that questioned your character are suddenly too busy staying out of drama. But it's not working. Their silence doesn't shield them anymore. It exposes them. And the best part? The one defending you isn't doing it for credit. They're not speaking for likes or applause. They're speaking because they saw you, really saw you. The strength it took to stay silent. The dignity you held when they threw dirt. The calm in your walk when all they wanted was a reaction. Their voice isn't sugar-coated. It's fire. It's clarity. It's everything you tried to say, but louder, bolder, unfiltered. And it's reaching places your voice couldn't go, not because you lacked truth, but because you lacked access. That's not your fault. That's the system. But now the system is cracking. And here's where it gets poetic. They used to say, "Where's the proof?" when you were the proof. But now the same message is coming from someone they can't deny. So the conversation, it's flipped. The burden of proof isn't on you anymore. It's on them. They needed a crowd to stand strong. You just needed one warrior who wasn't afraid of fire. It's wild how quickly the room changes when a respected voice tells the truth. Suddenly, people start remembering what they conveniently forgot. Suddenly, the hands that stayed folded during your pain are now busy trying to clean the mess. But it's too late. The voice is already out there. The damage is done. Only this time, it's not on you. You were the one they tried to erase, but now the very force they counted on to silence you is echoing your truth, louder, clearer, stronger, and they can't stop it. They can't deny it. They can't even argue with it because the person defending you comes with reputation, with receipts, with righteousness that can't be manipulated. Imagine their faces, chosen one. Imagine the people who laughed at your story, now forced to nod in agreement as someone they admire speaks your truth back to them. It's not just satisfying, it's strategic. The universe made sure the right person saw you, heard you, chose to speak. That's why everything is shifting. It's not the crowd that matters. Crowds follow trends. They're loud, messy, and forgetful. But one voice with real authority, that's legacy. That's change. That's what you've got now. So no, you didn't need an army. You needed one person bold enough to light a match in a room full of gaslighting. And that person showed up. That voice is clearing the fog. And every lie ever told about you is choking in the smoke. Let them scramble, let them panic, let them rewrite their roles in your story, because the real ones now know what you always knew. You were never the villain. You were the truth walking patiently through a world built on denial. You never needed applause to be valid. You never needed a stage to be real. All you needed was time. And now, time's up. The voice has arrived, and it's not here to ask for permission. It's here to flip the narrative permanently. Number 3. They mocked you when you were alone. Now they're shaking because someone powerful just walked in.
Reaching your financial goals can feel impossible.
Big Daddy came in the room. Y'all motherfuckers shut up, huh? When Big Daddy says enough.
Savings, taxes, and more.
Shut that shit up. Y'all motherfuckers shut up and sit down, huh?
Credit Karma.
Big Daddy come in the motherfucking room, huh?
Try gummy vitamins from Nature Made.
Yeah, everything ain't funny then when Big Daddy speak up, right? Big Daddy has stepped in the room, told y'all to shut that shit up. Y'all motherfuckers now all of a sudden don't even want to claim y'all part.
So what's new at Macy's this week?
Don't even want to
2
claim your
words.
part in the fuck shit now. When Big Daddy speak up, shit.
They weren't afraid to hurt you. They were afraid someone with power might finally notice they did. They were bold when they thought you were invisible, loud when they assumed you had no allies, cruel because they believed no one important cared. That's the only reason they got so comfortable crossing the line. They thought no one with influence was paying attention. And that's when abusers become their boldest, when they think the room is full of cowards, not consequences. They didn't just mistreat you, they made a sport of it, mocking you behind your back, twisting situations, dragging your name when it was convenient. You weren't a person to them. You were a punching bag, a target for their bitterness, a scapegoat for everything they couldn't face in themselves. And why? Because you were quiet, because you stayed calm, because you didn't have anyone loud backing you yet. But now the wind has shifted, and the air, it's different. Someone with presence just stepped into the picture, someone they actually fear, someone whose voice echoes in rooms that matter, and now that person is watching, and not quietly. They see everything, and they don't play favorites. Imagine being so confident in your cruelty, only to realize the universe just put someone in the room who sees right through you. That's where they are now, nervous, twitchy, performing fake neutrality like it'll save them. They're trying to clean up the mess before the hammer drops. Too late. The moment they sensed eyes bigger than theirs in the room, their bravado evaporated. That's what power does. It shifts the ground beneath liars. It forces masks to crack. Now they're walking on eggshells, praying not to be mentioned, rehearsing new versions of old stories just in case they get called out. You ever wonder why their body language changed? Why the same ones who used to smirk when your name came up are now quiet, jittery, overly polite? Because the safety net they once relied on, your silence, is gone, and someone they can't manipulate is staring straight at them. They thought they had the upper hand forever. They counted on you staying small. But now the universe has shown them what real pressure feels like. And baby, it's only getting started. Number 5. They branded you a liar until proof slammed on the table and shattered their game. They called you a liar so loudly, hoping no one would ask for proof. Now someone else brought it, and their whole story is bleeding out in front of them. They said you were lying again and again, like it was gospel. With straight faces, fake concern, and rehearsed pity, they painted you as bitter, unstable, attention-seeking. They worked overtime to rewrite your truth into a twisted, pathetic narrative they could control. And it worked, at least for a while. They had backup, fake witnesses, and boldness wrapped in your silence. Because that's all it takes, right? Repeat a lie long enough, and people stop checking for the facts. They banked on that. They bet on it. They threw your truth in the dirt, then dared anyone to dig it up. But they never expected someone else was watching, someone with reach, receipts, and no fear. Someone who didn't just hear about what happened, they saw it. And more than that, they documented it. Not for drama, not for clout, but because the truth always leaves a paper trail. And the universe always makes sure it shows up at the right time. Imagine thinking you buried the evidence, only to realize someone else was quietly building the case behind your back. They had no idea your story was being recorded in places you weren't even present. Emails, messages, voice notes, statements, cold, hard proof that you were never the liar. They were. And when that person stepped into the light, they didn't bring opinions. They brought facts. And when those facts dropped, silence fell like a hammer. Suddenly, every loudmouth who mocked you is choking on their own false confidence. Every neutral bystander is scrambling to untag themselves. Every smug smile has cracked. And the best part? You didn't have to dig up a single file. The universe sent someone else to do it, and they did not come quietly. Now the lies are collapsing under the weight of receipts they never saw coming. The truth isn't up for debate anymore. It's printed, dated, backed, and undeniable. They can't gaslight their way out of this. They can't spin it. They can't blame you. And the most beautiful revenge: you did nothing. The truth did everything. Number 6, they controlled the room until the one they idolized pointed at them and said, "You're the problem." Nothing crushes a manipulator faster than being called out by the very voice they were trying to impress. For years, they played the role flawlessly, the crowd pleaser, the one who seemed wise, wounded, and oh so convincing. They made themselves the victim in a story where you were the villain, because that's how they stayed powerful. They didn't need to be truthful. They just needed to be loud, emotional, persuasive. And it worked, because no one challenged them. Not the audience, not the insiders, and especially not the people who had the power to end it all. Until now. Imagine the silence in the room when the very person they idolized, the one they were performing for, finally looked them dead in the eye and said, "You're the problem." No sugarcoating, no vague suggestions. Just truth that hit like a slap in a glass church. The room froze, the air cracked, and all that fake confidence shattered right on the floor. That's the power of real influence.
I told y'all in the reading that somebody was looking to see who the fuck was the problem, who was instigating, starting shit, and keeping all this shit going on. And somebody finally seen what was going on, seen through some shit, and spoke up. That's exactly what the fuck happened, and I told y'all that was gonna go down. Gave y'all this shit in the reading less than a few days ago. It took one person to flip everything on everybody. One person. Okay? Everything flipped overnight. Oh, one person stood up, and everything flipped overnight. Everything. Everything that a motherfucker thought he had signed, sealed, and he thought he had it checked. It all flipped on him.
The voice they worshipped, the one they tailored their lies to impress, is now the one undoing their entire performance. And the best part? You didn't even ask for it. You didn't scheme. You didn't push. The truth just showed up, and it spoke in a language they couldn't twist. They wore a mask for years. One sentence ripped it off and left their real face exposed in front of everyone they fooled. The lies they built were never questioned because they were seen as untouchable. Everyone took their word as gospel, not because it made sense, but because they had presence. They were charming, persuasive, dangerous, and nobody wanted to be their next target. But all of that collapsed the moment someone they couldn't dismiss finally stood up and told the truth. Not quietly, not gently, but boldly, publicly, undeniably. Now they're spiraling, backtracking, throwing new versions of the same story into the air, hoping one might still stick. But the crowd's not buying it anymore. The sympathy well is dry, and people are finally putting the puzzle together, because the truth didn't come from you. It came from someone with power they can't touch. You didn't lift a finger. The truth walked in, wearing someone else's voice. and it wrecked everything. Number 7. They tried to erase you. Now your name is echoing in rooms they swore you'd never enter. They locked the doors to keep you out, but forgot the universe doesn't need permission to walk through walls. They thought they were clever, cutting you out of conversations, scrubbing your name from invitations, whispering in circles where your truth couldn't reach. You weren't just excluded, you were erased on purpose. Not because you lacked value, but because you were a threat to the version of the story they needed everyone to believe. They painted you as the villain while you weren't even in the building, and they were comfortable doing it because in their minds those rooms belonged to them. You were never supposed to have a voice in that space. You were never supposed to know what was said about you. And most of all, you were never supposed to be defended there. But here's what they never saw coming. Someone else walked in. While they were busy trying to bury your name, the universe sent someone in through the back door, holding truth like a sword. This person wasn't loud at first. They were watching, listening, gathering, and when the time was right, they spoke. And when they spoke, everything shifted. Because this wasn't just a random defender. This was someone they listened to. Someone with enough weight to challenge the entire room. Someone whose voice makes people sit up straight. And now, the rooms that once laughed behind your back are silent. The same lips that repeated lies about you are sealed in shame. They didn't just hear the truth, they felt it. That's what happens when someone speaks from a place of clarity and courage. Imagine that, chosen one, your name being cleared in spaces where you were never welcome. Your truth being restored by someone who didn't need you in the room to believe you. That's not just justice, it's cosmic realignment. They buried you in your absence, but now your name is rising without your presence. The people who once clapped for your downfall are now squirming in their seats, avoiding eye contact, pretending they never really believed it. But it's too late. The narrative has flipped, and you didn't have to say a word. Because when truth walks into the room, even without you, it silences every lie that ever tried to take your place.
Non-platinum removes 99% of grease. It's the GOAT. And that's coming from a duck. The better grease getter.
L pads are gentle and powerful. L period care.
At this very moment, children at St. Jude are fighting to survive. With a gift right now,
Number 8. The bystanders are now faking loyalty, not out of conviction, but because the heat's finally on them. They stayed quiet when your name was under attack. Now they're suddenly loud, because silence might cost them something. They weren't neutral, not even close. The people who stood there, arms folded, lips sealed, while you were being torn apart, those weren't innocent observers. They were enablers in disguise. They heard the rumors. They saw the manipulation. Some even knew it was wrong, but they stayed quiet, and in silence, they gave your enemies room to sharpen their knives. A few giggled behind screens. Others gave fake hugs in public while texting your enemies in private. They played both sides, told themselves they were just avoiding drama. But let's be real, you were the one bleeding. They were just making sure they didn't get any blood on their hands. But now, oh, how the tides have changed. That one powerful voice, the one defending you now, has entered the scene and shifted everything. And guess who's suddenly flipping? Guess who's now reposting your quotes, liking your photos, sliding in with vague apologies like, "I always believed in you." It's them, the former fence-sitters, the same people who watched you suffer and stayed silent. Now they're scrambling to realign, not because they found their conscience, but because they smell the smoke and they know the fire is getting close. When the room changes, so do cowards. Not from growth, but from fear of exposure. Imagine this. Someone throws stones at you while the crowd watches. They don't help. They don't speak. But the moment a powerful figure arrives and says, "Who threw that?" suddenly the same crowd is pointing fingers elsewhere, offering you water, acting like they were always on your side. That's what's happening now. It's not support, it's survival instinct. These people aren't celebrating your truth. They're trying to avoid being dragged down by it. They see the receipts coming, they hear the questions starting, and they know the spotlight doesn't just hit the liar, it catches the audience who clap too. So now they're switching sides mid-performance, rewriting their roles, acting loyal. But don't be fooled, this isn't a comeback, it's a cover-up. They didn't defend you when it cost them something. Don't reward them now that it's convenient. Let them stay pressed behind the glass. Let them watch your rise from a distance. Trust isn't recycled, it's earned. And they left theirs in the dirt the moment they chose silence over truth. Their sudden kindness, that's not redemption. That's fear wearing a smile.
That's guilt.
Number 9. They thought they were safe. Then the truth blew up in their face with the whole room watching. The universe didn't just expose them, it made sure the entire crowd saw the fireworks. It could have happened earlier. The truth could have leaked while you were still shattered, still questioning your worth, still begging the sky for answers. But it didn't. You weren't vindicated when you were on your knees. Not when your voice trembled, not when the tears were fresh. No, the universe waited. And it wasn't a delay, it was strategy. Because divine timing is surgical. It doesn't just reveal, it destroys illusions. They thought they'd gotten away with it. Bold, arrogant, loud. They were stacking lie on top of lie, parading around like the heroes of the story they rewrote. They were getting comfortable, too comfortable, flaunting fake innocence, gathering applause, convincing the world you were the bitter one. That's when the universe struck. Truth didn't just walk in, it kicked the doors down, flipped the table, and handed out receipts like confetti. And they didn't see it coming. 1 minute they were boasting, the next their entire mask disintegrated, not in private, not in some quiet room where they could hide the embarrassment. No, this was public, loud, sharp, unavoidable, because the point wasn't just to clear your name, it was to make sure everyone who ever clapped for them saw the truth hit like thunder. The same ones who reposted their sob stories are now ghosting them. The same friends who parroted their lies are quietly untagging, deleting, vanishing. Why?
That's what they do.
Because the lie collapsed on camera, and no one wants to be standing next to a liar when the spotlight turns red.
All of y'all
This wasn't coincidence. This was cosmic theater. The universe waited until their pride was loud enough to echo, and then dropped the truth like a wrecking ball in the middle of their performance. Now they're exposed, not just for what they did, but for how many people they fooled. The room that once clapped is now watching in dead silence. Embarrassed, ashamed, stunned. And the worst part for them, they can't deny it. The facts are screaming too loud. You didn't force this. You didn't go digging or begging. You let the universe move, and it did. With power, with precision, with timing that hit them harder than any revenge ever could. They thought they were safe, but the truth made sure it had an audience, and now there's nowhere left to hide. Number 10. You were the evidence the whole time. They just didn't know silence could scream that loud. They needed you to react to prove their lie, but your peace proved their truth was always fake. They pushed every button, poked every bruise, and waited for the explosion, waited for you to snap so they could point and say, "See, we were right." That was the setup all along. Not justice, not clarity, just a trap. And the sickest part? They weren't looking for the truth. They were looking for ammunition. But you didn't play the game. You didn't need to scream. You didn't need to beg. You didn't have to chase anyone down, demanding they believe you. because deep down you understood one thing: the truth defends itself through consistency. And your consistency? It was unshakable. You stayed grounded. You didn't match their chaos, and in doing so, you revealed it. You didn't have to become loud to be heard. Your silence was a megaphone made of dignity. They mocked your calm. They said your quiet meant guilt. But what they missed is that silence, when anchored in truth, is the loudest weapon of all. It unsettles manipulators. It exposes the noise in their narrative. Every time you chose grace over vengeance, you weren't backing down. You were building undeniable contrast. And now, someone noticed. Not someone random, someone sharp, someone with presence, someone who was watching while you thought no one was paying attention, and that person doesn't need convincing. They see it, the way you carried yourself, the way your peace stood taller than their performances, the way your stillness showed who really had something to hide. Now that person is using their voice, not to overshadow you, but to amplify you. They're not confused about the story. They've seen both sides, and the comparison alone is damning, because you didn't accuse, you didn't retaliate, you didn't twist truth, you just endured, and your endurance, that was the proof. When chaos runs its mouth long enough, peace becomes the loudest witness in the room. You were never on trial, they were. And your silence? It wasn't surrender. It was strategy. It was strength. It was everything they lacked and tried to provoke out of you. But you held firm. And now that the truth is rising, your quiet is being interpreted as clarity, your restraint as credibility, your survival as justice. They thought they buried you in silence. But that silence, it's now speaking louder than their entire performance ever did. Number 11. They didn't just show up to support you, they showed up to burn down every lie built against you. Loyalty is nice, but the one defending you came with fire in their chest and facts in their hands, and that makes them dangerous. This isn't some quiet ally whispering support from the shadows. This is a force, a voice with reach, with weight, with intention. The one defending you didn't show up to comfort you. They showed up to correct the narrative, rip the mask off your enemies, and shatter every structure that once stood on your pain. They aren't defending you with pity, they're defending you with purpose. This isn't about emotion, it's about truth, strategy, and precision. This person saw the games, the manipulation, the rehearsed victimhood, and they said enough. They didn't just speak up for you, they pulled up with a blueprint for exposure. Your enemies weren't scared of your silence, they're terrified of your advocate's volume. And now, the tables aren't just turning, they're flipping with force. The rooms that once whispered lies behind your back are shaking. The people who thought they were untouchable are sweating. Why? Because this voice isn't scared of confrontation. They're not here to debate, they're here to dismantle. Imagine the fear in your enemy's eyes as their entire web of lies gets tugged thread by thread. Imagine watching the ones who used to talk the loudest suddenly go quiet because the one speaking now has the power they never expected to face. This person moves with intelligence, not loud for the sake of being loud, but calculated. They come with timelines, screenshots, eyewitnesses, context. They know what was said, who said it, when it was planned, and who helped cover it up. And they're not just hinting, they're naming names. This isn't a defense, it's a takedown, and it's happening in real time.
Real time!
Your enemies once thrived off the assumption that you were alone, that you had no reach, no backup, no voice that mattered in the rooms that counted. That's why they were bold, that's why they mocked. But now, the weight of this defender's presence is turning their boldness into backpedaling. People who once rode for your enemies are jumping ship. The networks that protected them are folding. And it's not because you screamed louder. it's
Networks
because
is
someone
behind
more
the
powerful screamed on your behalf.
Networks is
The
behind the
fear
shit.
is real now. Because this isn't just someone who believes in you. This is someone with leverage, someone who doesn't flinch, someone who doesn't play nice with liars. They didn't show up to defend you with tears. They showed up with truth. And that truth is lethal to every fake alliance that once stood against you. So no, they're not just loyal. They're a wrecking ball with receipts. And your enemies, they're
Rush me
bracing
my
for
paper.
impact.
That's all I know.
Number
Rush
12,
me
they're
my
not scared of
paper.
you. They're terrified
For
of
the
who's
fucking
watching them
abuse
now.
that you motherfuckers did. Rush
Your
me
enemies
my
didn't mind
paper.
lying in your face until someone with power stepped into the room and said, I see
Punitive damage,
you.
restitution.
The truth is,
Rush
they
me
were
my
never
paper.
scared of you. That's why they did what they did with such boldness, with smug confidence, with zero hesitation. You didn't have status, you didn't have influence, your voice wasn't loud in their circles, and they knew it. That's what made you the perfect target, easy to discredit, easy to isolate, easy to mock without fear of consequence. They thought truth without power meant silence, and back then, maybe it did. But the air has changed now, and it's not because you got louder. It's because someone with real consequences is now watching every move they made in the dark. Not someone emotional, not someone gullible, someone who holds doors in one hand and justice in the other. Someone they can't bribe, charm, or confuse. The worst thing that can happen to a manipulator is being exposed by someone they can't manipulate. And that's exactly what's happening now. This person, the one who's defending you, isn't influenced by performance. They don't care about crocodile tears or carefully curated backstories. They care about facts, patterns, motives, and they're connecting the dots with terrifying precision. Your enemies, they're squirming, not because you're speaking, but because someone else with reach finally is. They've spent so long performing for the audience, rehearsing the script, running the smear campaigns, all while assuming no one important would ever hear the truth. But someone did. And now, every lie is under a microscope. They can't gaslight this person. They can't cry their way out. They can't hide behind fake humility or crafted victimhood. The lens is clear. The judgment is sharp. And the voice calling them out holds actual weight. Enough to shift rooms, decisions, and reputations with a few well-placed words. They feared exposure, but only if it came from someone the room respected. Now that it has, they're in full-blown panic mode. The horror they feel now. It's not about guilt. It's about consequences, because the person watching them now has the power to undo everything they built on your suffering, and this time no manipulation will save them. They're not just seen, they're cornered. Number 13. This wasn't coincidence. This was divine legal justice in full motion. What felt like silence was actually the universe building a courtroom, and now the verdict's out. You were always right, and they were always guilty. What just happened in your life wasn't luck. It wasn't a random shift in energy. It wasn't timing finally getting around to do you a favor. No, this was surgical, strategic. This was divine legal warfare. A cosmic ruling has been made, and it wasn't emotional. It was lawful, a verdict from forces they can't bribe, confuse, or escape. While your enemies were laughing, scheming, winning applause off lies, they had no idea a case was quietly being built. Not in a human courtroom, in a spiritual one. The charges: violation of truth, abuse of influence, repeated acts of manipulation, sabotage, and public slander with zero accountability. And now, the universe has issued judgment. You thought it was over, but the real trial was just beginning, and you already won. The person speaking up for you now, that wasn't random. That's evidence. That's visible proof that something higher has ruled in your favor. They are not just an ally. They are a manifestation of divine timing. And this ruling? It isn't emotional revenge, it's justice with teeth. The shift already happened. That eerie silence your enemies feel right now. It's not confusion, it's the weight of being seen. Doors are closing around them. Trust is dissolving. Power is evaporating. And they have no idea how to stop it. But you do. Because you didn't make this happen. You didn't beg. You didn't fight dirty. You didn't scream to be heard. You simply outlived the lies, and heaven did the rest. The courtroom of the unseen made its move, and now it's playing out in public. The people who once backed them are now watching from a distance. The ones who applauded your pain are now pretending they were never there. Why? Because the narrative is being rewritten in your favor. You are the living proof of divine justice. The very storms they used to drown you are now the waves pushing your name into every room they tried to lock you out of. This shift isn't some motivational rise, it's a judicial pivot. Every scar on your soul is now part of the testimony. Every silent night, every betrayed moment, they're all court records now, and the verdict isn't pending. It's done. They didn't just wrong you, they violated a universal law, and now that law is folding every false structure they built, not gently, deliberately. Every lie is collapsing in front of the same people they used to impress. That's not karma, it's court. So don't shrink. Don't question what's happening. Stand tall. Keep walking in quiet confidence. This isn't noise. This is your justice finally being televised. Your silence wasn't weakness. It was strategy. And now the courtroom is echoing with every word they thought you'd never say, spoken by someone far more powerful than you ever needed to be. The shield that once protected your enemies, gone. The grace that let them get away with it for so long, lifted. The story being rewritten with your name on the front page, and this is just the beginning. If this message struck your soul like truth finally knocking at the door, don't scroll past it. Chosen one, take a second to subscribe, because what's coming next will only confirm what you're already feeling. Like this message to help it spread, because truth deserves a voice again. Drop a comment and share your moment, your shift, your exposure, your validation. Let this be your space to say, I knew it, I felt this coming. And most of all, don't keep this to yourself. Someone out there is still battling in silence, thinking justice missed them. Let them know it didn't. The universe keeps receipts, and the courtroom is never empty. This is more than content. This is confirmation. You're not broken. You're chosen. Let's rise together.
Dad, I've been working really hard this year.
You have, Kylan, and we're killing it.
Can I get a new K4?
You're too young to drive, buddy. But what if we let you give away a new K4 instead to show our appreciation for all of our success?
Let's do it.
Enter for a chance to win a 3-year lease on a brand new Kia K4 from Kia Bedford.
And me.
Win Kylan's K4. Enter to win at KiaBedford.com or here at Kia Bedford to double your chances of winning.
Because we appreciate you.
Get what you need at KOB.
Awaken your eyes with Laura Mercier's Secret Brightening Powder. Color-correcting powders instantly brighten and smooth under eyes, keeping concealer looking flawless all day. Laura Mercier.
Okay, it went off. So then I'm just going to, let me pause it.
The most dangerous person in any room is the one who stays quiet, listens deeply, and already knows the truth you're trying to hide. Now imagine this for a moment. Chosen one.
Yeah. I know more than they say.
You walk into the room and everyone smiles. But behind those smiles, there's a ripple of unease.
This is what they going around saying. They saying that I know more than what I put on, that I play dumb, that I act clueless, and all that old goofy shit. But the one that's playing dumb and the one that's clueless is the motherfucker playing in the spiritual person's energy. I'm not clueless. I know everything that's going on. So why the fuck do I gotta speak if I know everything that's going on? I don't gotta say shit. You the one that need to stop playing dumb and stop playing all these different positions. Okay? Because that's the only thing that makes sense here. Because the person that know what's going on, they not supposed to speak. They not supposed to say anything. Okay? So that doesn't even make any sense right there, to think that somebody that know what's going on is supposed to speak or say something. Okay? All right? But that's what they saying, and that's what this video that just popped up on here. And this is God saying this. This is God saying this about his chosen ones. That they said that it's people scared of you because they feel like you know more than what you put on. These would be the people that's not spiritual. Because if they were spiritual, then it wouldn't be shit to be scared of. You see what I'm saying? But by them being not spiritual, and they just be playing the Ritz, you know, putting on the Ritz. They just be putting on the Ritz, playing like they spiritual, playing like they got a gift, playing like they tapped in. Really, they not tapped in. That's why you scaring them. Because they don't believe the shit you do, you know, or what you know. But they know you know because you prophesy things that you're not even in the room. You don't know them. We stay in whole different new places all across the globe in different areas. And here I am, you know, 2,000 miles away from people. But yet I can tell them what the fuck going on in the room. Or what the fuck finna go on in the room. They laugh. They don't believe the shit. But then it manifests right there in their fucking face. And then they all look astonished and shit. Like they didn't know that God was real. Okay? Because that's the bottom line at the end of the day. Is people pretending like they don't know. And when I say pretending, they ain't pretending. These is people that don't know God. Okay? Flat out. Because if they knew God, they would know that God know. And they would know that God got chosen ones, vessels, people that he used to minister to the masses. They would know that this shit exists. But the fact that they think that I'm doing something astonishing, like this don't exist, lets me know that they not really tapped in where I'm tapped in at. Okay? Because if they was tapped in where I'm tapped in at, then I wouldn't scare them because of what I know. They would just be like, damn, she accurate as fuck. But it's scary to them because the unknown, that scares them. Because they don't know if that's real. Or they didn't believe that's real. Or they didn't want to acknowledge what was real. You feel what I'm saying? So they tried to ignore it. And then you got a whole live vessel in front of you that's telling you, like, no, this shit is real. You know? Where they sitting up thinking that it's just me capping and talking. And then when shit physically go down in their energy, play by play, then it's a different motherfucking story. You feel what I'm saying? So basically that's what this video is about. It's 53 minutes, so I don't want to play it on top of this other video. I will have to come back if y'all want to hear the scoop on this. You feel what I'm saying? I will have to come back and then play it, you know. I imagine God want his chosen ones to know. Already 13,000 people have watched it. So God definitely want his chosen ones to hear this. Okay, it's saying chosen one. People are scared of you because you know more than you put on. That's the next word that I'm hearing what what's written, and I ain't even seeing all the words, but it's common sense what they saying, because I already know the conversations that's going on in the room. You feel what I'm saying? Okay, and that's through the unction of the Holy Spirit, through Father God. Okay, all right. All right, so that's basically what this video is about. I'm going to come back with another video. I still got to come back with the wealth video for the wealth-minded people, okay? Because y'all got to hear this. But I got to let these other ones upload, and then I can make space. So until this one upload and the one that's already previously uploaded, I think it's 2 of them that's previously already uploaded. They uploaded now, they halfway through. When them upload, I'll be able to clear my space with this, and then I'll be able to put that wealth video up and this video about why they scared of the chosen ones. Okay? Alright, one love, one love, one love. I am your sacred, magical high chief priest of the Most High God. Come to give it to you true, real, and raw. Oh, okay. Father God said that it's already happening. Your looks is turning motherfucking heads. Okay? Okay? And the reason why your looks is turning heads, I spoke about this in the video that's uploading. I think I spoke about it in the collective energy one. Father God said we get into our higher self, like I said from the beginning, and he came back with the confirmation. You entering into that light body, or that true, you know. He said it's the wealth body. It's the wealth. It's in the wealth video. It's the wealth video, the wealth mindset. It's a certain type of architect that goes with that wealth energy and that wealth mind. And it's just the way you look, man. You look good. You sharp. You tight. You know what I'm saying? Like your features, your face, your body, like everything is like like tailor made. That shit is just tight. Okay, so this is why when you look in the mirror, you probably see somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And the eyes. Father God said it's something about the eyes, our eyes. Okay, like I can't make it up. We aligning to our soul. He said our soul sovereign self. So that's why you're seeing different features about you that looks really, really good, because you're aligning up with your sovereign. You know, your sovereign self. Like, that's all I can say. It's got to do with you being sovereign, okay? And it's got to do with this wealth mindset that you're walking in. And also, it got to do with this $1 billion energy that he said you stumbled in, okay? By the shifting of a thought or something that you did. And you shifted all. You went from, I thought we didn't even hit the millions, but we already in the billions. Wow. So that means you coming out with $1 million motherfucking ideas. That means you got a mind that's outside the box, okay? We talking about Nobel Peace Prize. We talking about things that got to do like globally, like what I'm hearing? Something's in transit. All I know is transit, and I'm going to stop right there. Father, I'm going to stop right there. Something telling me to stop right there, because something about transit. And when I think about transit, it make me think in position, processing, going forward, like literally in the process. So let me stop right there, because transition, that's all I need to know. All right, one love, one love, one love. Peace, love, and light. I'm out. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, I don't know what fool would think that I would let them know that I'm on to them and that I know everything that's going down. I don't know what fool would think that somebody that knows all the moves on the table, why they wouldn't keep them to themselves. Okay, all right, and then make them moves. Okay, I don't know why, but that's just some funny shit. Okay, thumbs up the video. Appreciate those that do. I'll be back with the collective readings, okay? And this is for the month of August. Happy birthday to Leo, okay? All right, it's going down in Leo's energy. I can always guarantee Leo to bring it, okay? I can always depend on Leo, okay, that it's gonna be some ass whooping in the room. It's gonna be some ass whooping in the motherfucking room, okay, when the Leo season get here, okay? It's like all hell's raising or something. I don't know. It's just something about this Leo energy, okay? It always bring it on, okay? All right, one love, one love, one love. It's on and popping. I'm out.